Hi everyone, and welcome back to season 2 of Our We Are Work. We are your co-hosts. I am Nadia Patel. I'm an artist, I'm a designer, a doer of many things, sometimes too many things, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host.
Guys, I asked friends for intros because I really couldn't figure out a way to describe myself. And the best intro that I received was I am Gimu Busielo, a lover, a fighter, and a midnight biter.
I might keep that.
Please keep that whole part in.
Keep
Please
that.
keep it in.
Thank you.
We are going to take you on a journey through a series of conversations conducted by Tiffany Ibrahim, the founder of Our We Are Work as a research
The
project.
brains of Our We Are Work and all-round
brains.
badass.
So, season 1 mainly focused on the work, the career, the profession. In season 2, we're kind of shifting that a little bit to love and labor, which is the theme for season 2. And then you go on this journey with two people through their relationships. In today's episode, we're talking about romantic friendship. So this episode and the one that comes after this, the one that follows, are kind of connected in an interesting way around the idea of friendship as a deeply, deeply foundational aspect of our lives.
I love that we're platforming friendship. I don't think friendship gets enough.
Yeah, we often privilege romantic relationships and romantic love above friendship. Today we're talking romantic friendship and everything that comes with just knowing when someone is going to be your bestie. A conversation in 2 parts today. Our first guests are Khotso Rams and Kgosi Motsoane. Khotso is a television host, an actor, and a screenwriter. And Kgosi is a development practitioner and the co-founder of Bear Stories.
Ooh, I've been to several Bear Stories events. They are incredible.
Have you? I haven't. I did not know about it.
Yeah, you should definitely look at
I
it.
will.
Kgosi also happens to be one of our superstars from season 1.
Yes.
The first episode, titled Resignation, an emotional experience that many of us have gone through that comes with typing out that resignation letter.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for the reminder. So in part 2, we have Izzy Pereira and Ryan Whyte. They talk about intimacy, they talk about care, love, romance, and these expectations. So many expectations to navigate. So they,
I'm a sucker for romance, so do they not end up together?
I'm not gonna give that away just yet.
All right.
I think we gotta listen in.
I'll be patient.
Izzy is a freelance user interface and brand designer. And Ryan is a freelance graphic designer and the co-host of Lead Advertising podcast. So it's 2 parts. There will be a break in between. And then the conversation will be followed by a little bit of a behind the scenes. I sit down with Tiffany and reflect on the process and the conversations around romance and friendship.
Can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, I think it's also nice that it's happening in people's apartments. It changes the tone and the energy.
Thank you to all our guests for letting us into their homes.
Yeah.
And hearts.
And hearts.
So for me, my friendship with Kgosi has always felt like he was the first person that really saw me.
Aww.
Yeah. And it's something that was really new to me. It's just nice knowing that you're not alone, and that you're not crazy. I remember this one time in the school bus, who I hated, by the way. He said a whole lot of he was a bully. He was my bully. He said a whole bunch of stuff and the entire bus was in stitches. Everyone was laughing. I could look in all directions and the only person that wasn't laughing was Kgosi. And I remember looking at him and there was just the sense that I'm not alone. That really made it okay.
Do you know I cried that day when I got home?
I cried.
I cried so hard for you that day.
Yeah, I feel like our friendship really just came at the right time.
And that's where that was gonna be my thing. I was gonna say for me it felt like perfect timing. It felt not to get all woo-woo, but at the time it really felt like a moment of divine intervention. I've always found an equality with you. it's been the most sturdy, most constant feeling I've had in our friendship is. And I said it earlier as well, as I think it's because I've never felt judged by you. And hopefully you've never felt judged by me. I don't think these types of connections and bonds should only be understood in the context of romantic love.
Yeah.
It's a pity that there have been traditions that have been formed based on rare connections like these, and when they happen they are categorized in a particular way. But these should appear in all human connection where vulnerability and equality exists.
He always felt like it was my person, even though we hadn't even spoken. So in the bus, you used to sit like way in the front and I was at the back, but I could notice that bit by bit you were coming closer to me. And until eventually, now that was like our spot every single morning. It's funny because we never really hung out at school.
No, we didn't.
Until much, much later.
Because that was your professional environment. You were on duty at school.
I was on duty, yeah. Actually, right. Oof.
Can I butt in there? Did you guys ever talk about being gay back then?
No, not one bit. It only came after high school.
Yeah.
Way after high school. But we both knew this about each other.
Yeah, unpack that for me.
I think we both knew, and I think that's why... Because as soon as Kgosi and I decided to now actually be friends...
No, man, we did talk about it.
No, it was a year after high school. It wasn't high school.
Ah, okay.
It wasn't high school.
Yeah, but
It wasn't high school. I think we just both understood because also we had shared interests. So
Nigella.
We were obsessed with Nigella. And I think we were
pro and free
all the time.
This is how we spoke.
Yes. My brother used to get so annoyed that Kgosi and I don't spend time outdoors playing soccer. If it was in television, we'd be just having deep conversations inspired by like Oprah. But we never actually spoke about our sexuality. We never spoke about any crushes that we had. We never spoke about guys that were good looking. We just knew, and then we just had a really great friendship.
And I think also another thing was vision building. I think we spent a lot of our time imagining a life after the one that we were in. You know, these ideas where even if our realities don't necessarily reflect an a better alternative, I think that storytelling, dream building really was a big building block for, and I think it continues to this day. We don't stop dreaming, we don't stop planning or wanting better. So yeah, I think it was that.
Have you, either of you, ever felt sexually or romantically attracted to one another?
There was a chapter. We have a really brief chapter where we explored the possibility. And what happened? Did we have a conversation? No.
It was awkward.
Yeah, it was awkward.
And it just didn't work.
And then
yeah,
we just moved on. We just moved on.
we said nothing more about it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think after high school.
Well, yeah, I guess sometimes you have to try something to know that it's just not. Otherwise, you always have this like lingering question, like, should we, could it have, should we try?
Is it just that unavoidable human curiosity
Yeah.
We gotta scratch the itch.
Otherwise, you'll never know. And then you'll move forward going, well, it could have been something else, but I never allowed for it. It's a difficult one to navigate, I think.
I'm curious about how Izzy and Ryan navigate.
This is actually really nice because it leads very nicely into the conversation with Izzy and Ryan. And I think some of these questions about this itch and the curiosity is something that Izzy and Ryan pick up in a different way. Sensitivities of romance and friendship. Like, I don't know when to know that, honestly.
You just gotta scratch the itch.
Or you just gotta say, I am content with where this relationship is.
I haven't been in many relationships. I think I've been very restless. I just never felt stable anywhere. And I don't know, for me, and I think I've been like that with relationships as well. Just very restless, not knowing what I wanted. And I think that's why it's been tricky for me, just because I had a lot of like unresolved stuff and just very anxious with relationships. And maybe that's why with friendships, I've put in a lot more investment.
The other day, my mom was like, why didn't you just date Ryan? So I'm like, mommy, calm down, please.
What did you say to him? I'm curious.
Me and Ryan are always there for each other and really good friends. And she's like, yeah, I know, it's been like that for years. She's like, I really like that guy. She just wants me to have love.
My parents have asked me as well. Izzy's met my parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, Izzy likes girls more than guys. But we're also friends.
I never wanted to cross that. I thought of it, but I was like, no, don't do that. Keep your friendship. And I've done that with a few people. Except for 2 weeks ago, I kissed a friend.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, it crossed my mind. I mean, look at you. You're amazing. But I think I've done that with all my friends. That's just how the human mind works. Things cross your mind. And it's whether if you entertain it or if you put a lot of like focus on it and you grow the idea, I think that's when you develop feelings and those kind of things progress. And then you got to kind of be like, okay, realistically, this is the situation and I treasure friendship above.
Yeah.
And also what feels natural. Yeah.
Romance doesn't have to be with the person that you're sexual with. Romance can be with your friends and can be special.
Yeah.
And I think I have that, and I just never thought of it as it being romantic.
We've experienced a lot of romantic things, like our weekends away, all that stuff, cooking together.
Kitchen moments.
Yeah. And sometimes that's something that you can't get from your actual relationship if you are in a relationship. I've struggled with things like that. Yeah, in my last relationship, it's kind of like almost just going through the motions. And I was experiencing greater levels of romance with my friends. And I was like, there must be something fundamentally wrong or something I'm doing wrong, or maybe it's not a good fit or whatever. But yeah, to be so early on in a relationship to kind of just be going through the motions and not finding much common ground is a little bit worrying. I don't know, for me anyways.
I'm so used to being single. I don't know how to date anymore. But I've been romantic with a friend before. It also didn't end well. We still yet to speak about what happened, and it's been like a year. I still speak of it with a heavy heart because they meant a lot to me, but you can't force anything. Sometimes friendships end. Accepting it is difficult. It took me months. I also learned some lessons in it, like, should friends be romantic? I don't know if that's a good idea anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this yesterday. Why we take that risk? Because you actually might lose the friendship.
Exactly.
I think it's because you feel the safe intimacy with this person already that you assume it can almost withstand anything. So it's something I've struggled with, and I just would love to hear both of your perspectives on it.
I think it's like you become strangers in a way. And I don't think everyone wants to talk about things or talk about these serious things. They'd rather just move on with life.
What do you think?
I have hooked up with one or two in the past, and it hasn't been great. It hasn't been a great experience.
Do you mind unpacking why?
We had taken on so much of each other's baggage you're friends with someone, you know their intimate details of their life. So now you know that person intimately, and you're kind of like taking on their baggage from a platonic perspective. And then now when you start dating them, you already know their hang-ups. Because you know, and then you know the exes, she knows your exes. So that for me was, I think I do get anxiety, so I can't even get into a relationship with one of my friends because I just know them too intimately, and it feels like too much admin to now explore this other thing, and I know that's my own anxiety, and I'm maybe preventing myself from exploring something that could be good, but my anxiety is too much. It doesn't even get to that point, even if I have feelings. It just never really worked.
Have you fallen in love with one of your friends romantically?
I've questioned if I was before. Yeah. I've questioned of like being like, could this be something? But I always choose the friendship over that.
Difficult question. Can you describe the difference between platonic love and romantic love as a feeling?
I see it as that's your friend. You love them, you're comfortable with them. Maybe you do hook up with them. Romantic love is being in love with someone. I don't know. I haven't had a romantic love in years. And I haven't been at peace with romantic love in years. But there's definitely a difference.
I'd like there to be no difference, and I'd like to think that I believe that there is no difference, because for me, I want to have butterflies if I'm hanging out with my dad. I want to have butterflies if I'm hanging out with my best mate playing video games. I don't want romance to be exclusive to just a pair bonding. I want it to be my life.
Yeah.
Because there's many ways to be romantic. It doesn't have to be sexual. It can be thoughtful. It can be, I'm going to surprise this person. Or,
Of course, and it's a good feeling.
it's like we've been on so many weekends away, which have been romantic, but like we didn't have sex.
That's what I love about our friendship. I now know what romantic friendships are, specifically you. And yeah, I just appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate you and care for you, and we should live in the same country forever.
What both of these conversations have opened up for me is thinking about how we understand intimacy, care, love, and romance in everyday lives and in bigger picture kind of scenarios. But it also made me really excited about the possibilities and the untapped potential of friendship. How did you firstly navigate those conversations?
I approached both pairs, couples, not really couples, friends, knowing that they have been friends for a long time. So Kgosi and Khotso go back to school. I love that they reference a moment of coming together on a bus.
A school bus.
And you have these children in the background. The fact that they were childhood friends and that they still are very good friends today in their 30s is one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to them and understand how they've been able to make it through such a long stretch. And then with Izzy and Ryan, similarly, Ryan very much was Izzy's introduction into Joburg. And so it's been about maybe close to a decade where they've been friends. And so I was aware, I suppose, of the degree of intimacy that existed in both friendships. Sex is the sort of tension. It's what is romance outside of sex? What is romance when sex doesn't work? They are exploring, enjoying, and indulging in something else. The trust, the judgment-free experience, the vulnerability. What I also found interesting was Ryan's reflection. He was exploring greater levels of romance with his friends rather than with his romantic partner. I think he speaks to what it means to force a situation. And when I asked Ryan and Izzy, can they describe the difference between romantic and platonic love? Ryan pushed back and says, I don't want there to be a difference.
Yeah.
you can have romance not only outside of sexual experiences, but with people who you just share your life with.
Simple things, even like daily activities, making food together. And they speak about cooking together, and that being kitchen moments, and I love that. After listening to the two conversations, I was also reading a little bit around romantic friendship. And one of the things that came up was this really beautiful article. The central question of it was, what if friendship, not marriage, was at the center of our lives? How would that change or destabilize our thinking about the traditional norms and the hierarchies that we have in our understandings of relationships? How, if we place friendship at the center of our lives, how do we rethink our relationships with each other, with community, with family, and even with sexual partners?
Yeah.
Because there's a different kind of mission that's a little bit more generous, that's a little bit more open, maybe.
And more equal.
And more equal.
That's the thing that friendship does push, is some kind of equality, along with the vulnerability and the intimacy. And I think the other thing that friendship offers is space. So you use the word more open. And I agree. What can be so beautiful about friendship is that while the glue is there, it doesn't have to be so tight. It doesn't have to always be so smothering. It can and it does encourage breathing room. And with breathing room comes space to reflect, to recharge, and space to reconfigure. And if two people are equally granted that privilege and that opportunity, it allows for a different kind of longevity. By virtue of being a little less rigid, a little more fluid, it means that it can figure out how the relationship can become sustainable. That's what I would argue friendship offers, and that's what I would argue this episode foregrounds, is how can people stay in each other's lives on sustainable terms.
As you were speaking, I was thinking about what happens when in Kgosi and Khotso, Izzy and Ryan, what I'm thinking about a lot is how decision to be in this kind of relationship with each other, this romantic friendship, there's a pressure that's alleviated. There's more room for this is the common ground where we find ourselves on, with all our anxieties and all our vulnerabilities, to feel open, to share, to dream together, to write together, to plan together. That openness to determine the framework is quite special and quite rare.
Yeah, the dreaming together, I think Kgosi brings that forward as something that bonded him and Khotso. The vision building, the vision boarding, the imagining of a world beyond their own. And when I think about what is the purpose of being in relation with other people and in relationships with people, in my mind, the first word that comes up is adventure. I want to adventure with people, and I want to travel. And whether that means physically or emotionally or spiritually or creatively, when we meet people who we can share our imaginative visions with, and allow that to bond us, but also to move us. Wow.
Yeah.
That just brings a whole new dimension to what mobility can be in this life. And to be able to do that together, it's probably one of the greatest gifts we are given as human beings, is the ability to dream. And then to do that holding someone else's hand.
Yeah, that's the dream.
So Nadira, in your conversation with Tiffany, you referenced an excerpt asking the question, what if friendship, not marriage, was at the center of life?
Yeah, it was a fascinating text. It was useful to bring into this conversation.
Just like to give reference to that, it was by Raina Cohen, published in The Atlantic in 2020. Okay. Are We Our Work is an independent research project and podcast anthology series centered around questions of love, fulfillment, relationships, identities, and work, co-hosted by Nadira Patel and myself, Kgosi. This episode was produced and edited by Tiffany Ibrahim, sound design by Joao Orekia, Music by Buma Levine. Illustration by Softwork Studio. And web design by Sky Quadlin. To stay up to date with the project, check out @OurWeOurWork on Instagram. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.